What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gulls Nest. As always, ID84 is here, and with my trusty co-host, Adam the Mallett, to the left of me over here.
Hey, what's going on?
How you guys doing tonight? Tonight, we have a special guest. He's head of the media, and he's going to be talking to us. We're going to bring him in a few minutes here. Mike Basile. He's been with the team for a year now, and he's pretty much brought this team to all new levels of media that they haven't had before. And Adam, we have to say, judging by what he's going to talk to us about, their level of media presentation is far and beyond most collegiate teams, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all comes together from their perspective and how it's marketed and put into the media for sure.
Absolutely. And it is quite early. The season is still a few months away, and we are at the final stages of putting the roster together. So with the next few weeks of this podcast, we will have to you a roster, which Adam and I will go over each player and their statistics in a much thorough way, I guess, right? We maybe pull some highlights of some guys. We'll know exactly who will be playing for the Gulls for the 2024 season. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, who's coming back, who's new, we'll have it all.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like we really can't really make an assessment of the season until we see who's going to be on the team and see what the numbers are going to be and compare it to the other teams, because at that point every other team will have their rosters available for us to see, and then we can really make an in-depth dig our teeth, if you will, into the 2024 season and see how that will go. So we have a lot to get our hands on for the season. It was still very early. I know it's February. I know it's snowing outside, and I know it's cold. And the last thing on anyone's mind is baseball, especially summer baseball. So bear with us throughout the season, because we will, or the off season, I should say, because we will get you guys all revved up and ready to roll for for opening day for the Gulls here now. So Adam, anything else you want to add before we bring Mike in?
No, let's do it. I'm very eager to hear what he has to say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after this break, we'll bring in Mike Basile, head of the media for the Newport Gulls, right after this. All right, everybody. Tonight, we got a special guest here, Mike Basile with the Newport Gulls, joining us right here. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys. Excited. This has been rolling a bit now. Happy to have a podcast going. I know it's been a long time coming for the Gulls, so thank you for stepping up and getting it rolling.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's gonna be like I said, the season's a little bit away, but it's getting everyone excited about it. It's half the battle right here now, right? Give something to look forward to.
100%. Yeah, it's we have our Hall of Fame event that, what went well went great. So that's really something that we pride ourselves on, and it's a whole lot of fun. But the off season can linger a bit, but yeah, once it gets to this time of year, you're really starting to roll. So we're getting there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what exactly, where's your mindset right now at this time of year? Like, what are you looking forward to? As you kind of hinted before we started the podcast here, you were saying how, like, everything's kind of hectic and all right now. So I'm sure it's kind of crazy, but as it gets closer to the season, like, where's your mindset at? What do you look forward to the most?
I mean, last year was my first summer with the Gulls, so I didn't have a full off season. So kind of getting to see the outside, of obviously seeing our roster come together was really cool. The schedule release was something that I was a part of this year, which I wasn't last year. And just having a full off season to prep has been super beneficial.
Sure.
Speaking to interns now, volunteers now, opposed to getting to know them a couple weeks before the season is super helpful. So there's that. But yeah, it's always going. There's always something going on. It's been a lot of fun getting down here in the off season as well. Getting into the office with Mike a little bit. Seeing all the stuff that he does throughout the off season too is crazy. So yeah, it's the ball's always moving, and obviously on the media side, the media never stops between events we have and things like that. So always something going on, and always something that you got to be ready for next.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you've been with the Gulls for a season now. What brought you to the Gulls? What was your background in media prior to this? Were you doing baseball? Were you doing some kind of media stuff? Like, how'd you? I know you and Mike were childhood friends from back in the day, so that I'm sure that had something to do with it as well.
Yeah, so I moved up to Worcester last September, and I reached out to Mike in, I believe, last March, like probably about a year ago, from around this time and said, "Hey, what's going on with the Gulls this summer? Like, I'd love to be a part of it." And Tom Lima, who's been the media director for some time, still very involved with the team, which is awesome. But he took a little step away where he's working full time elsewhere and still involved with the Gulls. But I was able to step in and help out in his role a little bit, where I thought that it was a load of fun last summer doing the director of media and broadcast. So you get to see, the media side, help out with the social media marketing aspects, those things. And then directing games is a load of fun. Getting to work with all the interns on our media staff, our camera operators, our play-by-play broadcaster. So it was a load of fun. And before this, I was director of media and broadcast for a minor league hockey team for 3 years. That's where I Kate was in Delaware before moving out here. And then COVID hit, so the team went dormant for a year, came back for a season, and then thought that D1 sports, which I also get the privilege of calling some hockey, basketball, baseball at the D1 level now. So up in the Massachusetts, New England area, there's just so many good sports teams, so many good programs. It's so much fun to be a part of it up here. And obviously the Newport Gulls for summer collegiate baseball are one of the best. So it's been awesome. Obviously taking home our 7th title last year. And in my first year being a part of it, I had to give Mike some grief because that was his first 2. He's been here a ways longer than me. So it's fun to be 1 for 1 and hoping to go 2 for 2 next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, pretty lucky. First season in. I mean, it's only you can only retain at this point, right? It's not like you're walking in.
I know.
And it's one thing if you come from the bottom, you're like, oh, at least I can build myself up like this. But then all of a sudden, it's like we already won the championship. So at this point, we just gotta keep on winning to make this thing keep working, right? We're the good luck job.
It was really a great first summer to be a part of with that, and also our ESPN Plus broadcast for the first time. Us kind of setting the tone for that around the league, and obviously Tom Lima, who is the media consultant, was a huge part of that. What he's been able to do with the Gulls for so long now set us up in such a great spot that the league, wanted us to be the first ESPN Plus game last year. And like you said, after such a successful summer on and off the field, it's we're going to build off it. We're going to raise the bar like the Gulls do. But yeah, like you said, it's not an easy bar to raise after such a great first summer.
Well, that's interesting too. So yeah, tell us a little more about that, the ESPN Plus thing. So I'm assuming for years it was probably broadcast on radio, local radio down in Rhode Island, and all that stuff. And then the ESPN Plus is a great thing because now with streaming, you're not just stuck with just your local, antenna broadcasting area. Now you can extend out. There's so many levels and channels on an app like ESPN Plus. How did you guys get involved with ESPN Plus? And is this something that you foresee it being kind of breaking out and being really, really, really popular in the future?
Yeah, I mean, ESPN Plus is such a great platform, and for us to be able to get on there, especially in the summertime, where it's a little quieter with the colleges not playing during summertime, so you could kind of take the main stage on some nights. So to have, I believe we had 5 games last year on ESPN Plus, 4 or 5. One was a playoff game too, which was really cool to be a part of. And yeah, it just can really take you to a lot of cool places. The streaming platform, obviously having the name ESPN is super cool to have, with the Newport Gulls now. So yeah, it just the graphics package they use is incredible. It just really enhances our broadcast to a new level. And now that we have that, and moving forward, are going to have more ESPN Plus games. It's really exciting, and obviously, it's a little more work, but to have that name with the Newport Gulls and the NECBL is very special.
Yeah, looking at Artie and I last week were pouring through the schedule, and I was just curious to know, how is that dictated? Because I noticed that your schedule, except for the last week, is all away games. I was like, oof. That's brutal. Every weekend, the weekend is all away games, and I was just curious how that is. That just a coincidence?
So I could be a little wrong on this, but for as long as I've known, Mike has told me that Monday, Wednesday, Friday has always been Gulls home days. It's what Newport knows. It's what's been known around here.
Okay.
And it's just been successful for them. I mean, to see Cardines packed, those 3 nights every week it's special, and it's nice for the fans to know that, they don't really need to look on online, 6:35 on a Wednesday, the Gulls are going to be home tonight. If we can make it out, we're going to get there. So
that's awesome.
That's it. It's just awesome. And you see a lot of the the same faces, which is nice. And then you see a lot of people coming in for, a week or so to visit Newport. And they're like, oh, the Newport Gulls, we've heard of them. We're going to come to a game. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's just how it's been from what I know. And it's been a pretty successful routine for them with the attendance numbers that they get.
Definitely Friday night Newport in the summer is definitely a cool time to have. Just it gets like we talked about this in the past. Families looking for something to do. It's baseball. It's good baseball. It's competitive baseball, and it's inexpensive, and it gets the family out there. Everyone gets together, and enjoys. Something that you wouldn't be able to do the rest of the year. So it's really, really, really cool about that whole situation, especially the schedule. I mean, you guys benefit from that very well.
Yeah.
For your games, so you said 5 games on ESPN Plus last year. Now, for people out there watching this who want to watch a Gulls game, may not be able to catch it live, but still want to catch it. Do you guys archive your games? How do you guys do it? Do you put them on on YouTube? Is someone always recording them and keeping them there so you can catch them on at a later date?
So we will have full games and highlights on our YouTube channel as well. ESPN will also archive games. So ESPN Plus, if you go to on demand, all our games will be on there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to watch the Gulls. Like I said, Tom Lima's kept our YouTube page intact for so long that we'll have highlights from games all the way back to our 2012, 2011, even further back than that season. So games from last year all on there. Go back and watch some. I mean, the product that Tom started and continued to now that I have happily been able to help out with is awesome. It's a 5 or 6 camera setup. It's been a little while since, but I mean, we have a high home center field camera, 2 down the first baseline, 1 in the broadcaster's booth, and 1 down the third baseline. So it is a 6 camera setup that we have, and it's really professionally done from the broadcast booth, the camera work, the graphics, all the way through. And like I said, I was super happy to be a part of it last year.
That's pretty impressive for a collegiate game. I mean, considering you guys, I mean, that's a kind of that's a setup that I've seen better than some minor league teams have. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of minor league teams don't even broadcast their games, video wise. It's some of them just through the radio. So break us down to a day by day. I'm curious because you game day, you're at the stadium, you have the projection booth, you're obviously getting there, you get all the camera shots. So you're doing this just like you're doing this for a regular, full blown Major League Baseball game. You get the cameras going, you get the people announcing, you're calling your shots, what you want to be aired. It's in when you're doing this does ESPN have any say in your shots or how you're gonna do it, or you guys just kind of doing your product and you kind of just do it the way you do it?
So we've been able to keep it pretty similar to the way we've done it because of the work of Tom and everyone in our production team and what they've put out there. The only thing that really changed, which didn't even need to, but we just did it because of how, cool and advanced ESPN Plus graphics are. We use their graphics package in our games this year, but on a normal game day, any game day, it's get there, early in the morning, not super early, but 9:30, 10 o'clock. Get set up, make sure graphics are set for the night, make sure everyththing's set at the field, and kind of go through graphics and things like that in the morning, make sure everything's up and running. Our intern group would arrive around late afternoon, around 3 o'clock ish, 3:30 usually. We'd start setting up cameras, set up the broadcast booth, do some test runs, make sure everything's up and running, go through everything, have a pregame meeting, and then about 5:30 we would record our pregame show. So we do a 15-minute pre-recorded show with coaches and player interviews in the open. That would run about 6:15. So we'd play it back at 6:15 live on air. And then at 6:35 would be first pitch. So about that 15-minute pregame show, bring it about 6:30, commercial break, and take us into, pretty much first pitch. So that was the run of, a normal day for us. Get through the game, hopefully without any hitches, and come out, run a quick post-game show, 5 minutes talking about the game, a quick interview, and a wrap-up, break things down, and hopefully there's some leftover food for us.
Adam, I'm thinking this would be a great podcast that we do.
Yeah.
Doing like behind the scenes, kind of like, a Saturday game. We get there when they get there and we just follow them around. We just obviously don't get into fear with anyone, but just to see what you guys do. So everyone can see what you guys do and how much work it's put into it. Because obviously it's tons of time and planning and for just a broadcast, and you're doing this night after night, which is impressive. And it's like these interns are really getting a taste of what it's like to be in professional sports media. It sounds like
Yeah.
because of all the wheels that are turning, everything got to be in place, and everything's going to go.
Yeah, and a big shout out to our group last year. I mean, they were fantastic from the first day. We came and shot a Sunset League game, about a week before the season started, and we recorded it like we would record a normal game. And from the steps we took from there to our final home playoff game at the end of the year was really impressive. Where we got to as a group, and it really showed throughout the season. So yeah, you get invaluable experience here. I mean, it's hands on. You're either you're filming the game, you're in the booth broadcasting it, you're doing interviews pregame, or you're working down below doing replay or graphics. So everything you're doing is going to help you out in that field that you want to get to one day.
So taking the technicals aside and actually looking at the team for a second. Now, so Artie and I have talked about this quite a bit, but I just find it so intriguing. And, as someone like yourself who has been watching this team, from the outside, it's like I almost have to ask, what would you contribute? What would you say you contribute to the leading factor for this team's success since the early 2000s? Because it blows my mind with the turnover that this team has. It's continuously produce and produce. And it's not like these teams, their opponents are spaced out across the country. You know what I mean? They're all kind of clumped together within the region. So how is it that this team ends up with these premier players that are? We looked at the stats; they're all like top of the league, pitching, hitting. What is it about this team that gets these players? Is it the tryout process? Is it the coaching? Is it like what do you contribute if you were to pick one thing that stands out the most?
I would say it's the culture. I think
Oh,
for
okay.
summer baseball, it's rare to have players come back. And last year, the Gulls had 7 returners, I believe it was. And I mean, we have a couple coming back this season as well. So, I mean, to have that and have players who have been here that know the ropes, who can help the young guys maybe in their first season of summer baseball. And it's a big shout out to, our ownership group too. Chuck, Chris, Ron, all those guys who, have built such a good reputation for Newport that
Yeah.
these guys can't wait to get here. They can't wait to play summer ball here. And it just feels like, the word we used this year for this team it was just unbelievable how it felt like from day one that everybody knew each other. There was no gaps in this team. It was really incredible just to see the culture is the word we use, the culture of this group that was second to none. And it showed when we lost game 1 of the
Yeah.
playoffs to the Ocean State Waves and then didn't lose any of the next 6 and went on to win the championship and finished the playoff 6-1. I mean, that says something about your group, I think, right there.
Yeah, I think Artie and myself are definitely looking forward to experiencing that and seeing for ourselves because, yeah, it's a great team.
I'll have to say, hands down, doing research on the league and getting involved a little bit. This organization is probably one of the best organized organizations in this league.
Yeah, I hope so.
Have one of the best fan polls than this league, and it makes sense. It all reflects on how well you guys do because everything is put in place. There's no issues. You guys know what you're doing. You guys run this ball club like it's a major league ball club, and you get these players that go out there and they want to play. They get a crowd every night that they get to show off their skills to, and they get all these people coming in. And Adam and I were talking about this last week about how attendance, I think personally, helps a team,
Oh,
or
yeah.
players in general, because if you're playing in front of someone, you have a little bit more motivation. You have a little more, pizzazz to kind of show off your skills a little bit than rather if you're playing to an empty crowd because, you're a performer. You know what I mean? You're an athlete, number one, but also, all athletes are a little bit of a performer too. They're putting on a show. They want to
Yeah.
make everyone entertained. It's entertainment.
The electricity. There's electricity in the air.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a real thing, for
You hear the
sure.
crowd roar. I mean, you must know going to these games, you must feel like while you're there, like, when something's going very well for the team, you could feel it in the crowd, you could feel it in the stands, and the same as when things are going bad too, you could feel it. And that's pretty much, perfect for a fan base right there.
That's what you want. I mean, we call our production room the dungeon. It's underneath the stadium. So I'll never forget my first time coming out of there. Tom Lehman was there the first game too. So he was doing some production, helping me out directing. So I was able to walk up during the first inning and just watch the game for a couple minutes. And looking around the crowd, I was like, oh my gosh, like Mike and and Chuck and Chris had told me, like, you're not going to believe like the crowds we get here. And that place, not only opening night, but on opening night was packed from the left field line all the way around to the right field
Wow.
line. And, especially during the playoffs when there was a big hit, a big run, being under the stadium, the noises we heard, the pounding on the bleachers was unbelievable. It even down there, we couldn't see the game live. Obviously, we were watching on the screens, but I mean, it felt like we were in the crowd too with how loud it got. So I mean, I'm excited for you guys to get down, see some games live, and
Yeah.
take it in because it's a special team and it brings summer baseball to a whole new level.
Right, I'm all amped up. He's got me fired up.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it sounds like the season is going to be a blast already. Without in right now, it's we're here in February. Do we have any idea what the roster is looking like at this point, or are we kind of still developing at this hour?
So from what I've heard, that's Mike Falcone operations guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the roster's looking pretty good right now. I know they'll start. I believe last year they started announcing on the medias and everything, probably end of February, early March, I think it was. So
Okay.
that'll be definitely something for our fans to look out for in the near future here. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. I know our fans are really start to get excited as we move towards it, and that's the first step after the schedule release. Obviously, that's your real first step, but starting to see the roster and look into these guys. What did they do last summer? What did they do? If this is their first summer, what did they do their first year in D1, D3, D2, whatever baseball they played and in college ball, and what are they going to bring to the Gulls this summer? I think that for me was the most exciting. Joining late last year, as I mentioned, in around April-ish by the time I was on board, and looking at the roster and seeing, holy smokes, that kid went to Vanderbilt. Wait, this kid went to Georgia, Mississippi State. Like, whoa, these are some legit schools, as you guys just mentioned earlier. And to see them play, and a wood bat is not the same as a metal bat, obviously. So to see that fly out of the yard with a wood bat, sometimes you're in a little bit of awe yourself. And I could talk, and I was speechless a couple times.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you're thinking, at this point, we're February, so we're getting the roster together. Now, what once we get the roster, once we know who's playing for us, I should say, what does the media do now? So you're the head of the media. How do you reach out to these players? Do you grab like some highlight reels from them from what they're playing in college, some high school stuff? Like take us inside a little bit of how once you get the guys who are going to be in the team, what involves on getting prepared for the season.
Well, I think this year with a little more time, reach out to a couple, try and get some interviews, trying to get some on the podcast. Obviously,
Yeah.
get some
Absolutely,
here
yeah.
with you guys. We didn't have that last year. This year, we're going to take advantage of that. But yeah, we highlight a couple players, stats wise. This, that first day they get here is a really big day. Last year we had a great post that got a lot of love, which we had a laugh about. We brought in the whiteboard and first day of summer baseball. Where'd you come from? What year is this for you? So that post got a lot of love. That was a lot of fun. And then we have a huge countdown from about a month out. We'll start a everyday countdown till the summer with a player, on days that we can. 28 is this guy, 24 was Slade Alford last year. So do a countdown like that, and just have fun with it. I mean, for a summer collegiate baseball team, and a media page, I think we want to be as interactive and have as most fun with the fans as possible because we get 3 good months of real interaction where the season's going on, hyped up for the season, and we really got to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Last week, me and Adam mentioned in the podcast that we want people to comment on these episodes and tell us if you have any questions you want to ask yourself or the other Mike, as we call it, the Mikes in general, or anything about the team or anything like that. We really are encouraging people to put their questions on there to kind of interact with us so we can, answer your questions, basically get you a little more involved in what's going on here. We would like to, as collegiate baseball is anyways, it's a very intimate environment and we like to get everyone involved as much as possible. And we like to expand the Gulls further than just Newport for all of New England and further on, because these players that come from all around the country and we would like them to bring the piece of Newport to wherever they play or wherever they're from to kind of, expand the brand a little bit and kind of encourage players who want to play or coming up to play to come to Newport to play. Like this is the idea. It's pretty much selling a really good product to have other people buy into this product and continue, I would say the family vibe of the Newport Gulls, right?
Yeah, I mean it was awesome. Like even last week or a couple weeks back now, we were at the Bean Pot, and we saw a guy with a goal sweatshirt on, and we were like, hey, that's just awesome to see that around. That's a college hockey game, and repping the Gulls is really cool to see.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, like you said, it's something where we want to see it wherever we go. Around one of my buddies texted me. He's out in New York, and he said, I saw a guy at a gym wearing a Gulls shirt. So
That's
to
awesome.
hear that is cool, and to know that Newport is a great summer destination, and when people hear they can go to a baseball game for $5, they're going to jump on that a lot of the time and
Right.
get some swag, get some merch, and after you go to a game, it's tough not to want to come back or not to support the team, I think.
Yeah.
I agree. And I've been to a lot of collegiate games in different leagues over the past, and I got to say
Oh,
that the merch.
we lost you.
Oh yeah, no, the merch level that you guys push is far beyond a lot of the other teams. So that right
Yeah.
there is number one, and and try to get people involved and spreading it. Because then because you could be like in Las Vegas wearing a Gulls hat, and someone's like, "Oh, Newport Gulls. Hey, I'm from Connecticut. What's that?" And, oh yeah, it's a team that plays every summer in Newport. Oh, I didn't know they existed. And all of a sudden, the guy from Hartford's going there for a game with his family, or catching them on the road when they play one of the other teams, someone look by. So I mean, that's key right there.
Yeah, I mean it's so cool, and I mean the logo I think now is something that people see and know what the Newport Gulls are. So I think that is really something special too. That you see you see goalie on top of somebody's hat, and everyone's like, "Yep, we know what that is." That's a really good summer collegiate baseball team, and they're looking for 8 championships now this year.
Well, that's it. I got to jump. That's another thing too. You win these championships, you get these people to jump on the
Yeah.
old bandwagon.
I know,
That's
right?
But Adam, you have anything else you want to ask?
No,
Yeah.
no, that was they knocked it out of the park, really.
Yeah,
No
Mike,
pun intended.
this is awesome. It's really nice to get to understand the hidden side of the media, I guess you could say. Everyone sees what's on social media,
Yeah,
right?
it's nice to it's definitely nice to hear it. It'd be even better to witness it firsthand and actually be part of the culture. Like you telling us is one thing, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
It's another thing to actually, finally see it all come together.
Yeah, and like I was the same as you guys, started in the off season, and
Yeah.
you're just itching to get to baseball. And
Yes.
I know that feeling for sure, but it is worth it. The summer is going to be a ton of fun, and once you get attached, you're kind of sucked in, so you're not really going to have a choice. You're going to be like, oh, well, let's try and get to as many games as we can because you can't get enough of it.
Absolutely. I feel like the baseball season, once it starts, it's too short. It goes by so fast, and before you know it's the playoffs, no matter what league you're looking into, what I mean? Especially this league. It's only
Yeah,
42
44
game season,
games. Yeah.
44 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's even
That's over the blink
quicker.
of an eye.
Well, Mike, thanks for joining. We're looking forward to checking out what the inside looks like from behind the camera in the summertime, and we'll obviously have you on a few more times before then.
Yes.
But we'll like to get an in-depth knowledge and also to show everyone out there watching and listening how a production goes down on any given night and how much is involved in there. Because people, I think, a lot of take it for granted. You just turn the TV on or you turn the app on and you just watch it, but they don't realize how much stuff that has to go prior to getting in there is involved. And unless you see it firsthand, you really can't appreciate the amount of work that gets put into that you and you guys do out there, which was awesome.
So I assume
Yeah.
the Hall of Fame on Friday. I'm assuming that's being recorded.
Yep, that will be on YouTube. That will be record. We will have a full setup there, so that will be fully recorded. And yes, obviously trying to get people out, and I know it's going to be a great event. So we are excited for that. But yes, that will be. We'll probably have that on our YouTube channel a couple days later. But yes,
Awesome.
we will have that up.
Awesome.
Right.
And you should watch that because it'll be very interesting. We've already talked to the coach, and he was
Yeah.
an interesting guy. And
He's a good guy. He was
looking
fun.
forward to seeing him in person. So that's gonna be great. So, Mike, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, definitely, and you have yourself a good night.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
All
No
right, see you,
problem.
Mike. Thanks. All right, we are back. That was Mike Basile from the Newport Gulls, head of the media. That was a hell of a conversation. How Adam?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I didn't realize, like you pointed out, like the level of media, like the ESPN deal. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. I knew they were, uh, you know, televised, but I didn't understand when he was getting into the multi-camera shots, like because you usually see a lot of these leagues, these leagues or minor league games or whatever, and they have like one or two cameras. They usually get the batter in a camera frame, and they get the
Yeah.
outfield camera, right? But he was telling me, what did he say, 4 to 6 shots sometimes in a game?
Yeah, that like you said, that far like is higher production value than most in
Yeah,
this league, I would believe, right?
I would say most minor league teams. I mean, I think in AAA don't even have that many shots. I would say if you're going to be an intern and you're looking for sports media, this is the team to get involved with for your internship because
Yeah,
you really get a full in-depth learning lesson of how to broadcast baseball media for a live broadcast.
for sure.
I mean, it's going to be one of the most stressful things doing anything live. Even when you and I had done the shows in the past and it was live, I mean, there's a sense of stressness to make sure everything's going on right and hitting your cues and stuff. And, you
Oh,
know,
I'm sure.
not having like for us, we would do the show and you and I would just be the producer. So there wasn't really a lot we could, do to add to flair of the show. But when you're doing a live baseball broadcast, in a sense, you gotta add all this stuff together and putting all these pieces together to make it work. And
Yeah, he certainly seems like he's feeling even better about it this year because he pointed out like he was just coming in last year, so he's got like a whole year under his belt, probably a little bit more comfort, and he probably could be even more better. It could be even better this year, you know?
yeah, and like I said, I think we got to do a show where we just kind of do a behind the scenes where we kind of go in there and we kind of see like from start up to the end of the game, kind of just like documenting what they do and what they have to go through, because I think that'll give a good appreciation for people who want to get into the industry,
Yeah,
how it's done, and for people to watch the game on whether it's ESPN Plus or whatever the other YouTube, whatever the avenues they broadcast the game at, to see how the game is done. And it's not just some guy with a camcorder like it was probably 10 years ago. It's the actual
no,
camera one,
no,
camera two. Let's get this going. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, that was
It's
an interesting interview with Mike. You have anything you want to add, Adam, for this week?
No, what you just said though, I think is definitely something we need to, getting behind. What you just said, I think is perfect. What we should do, especially because once we get into baseball itself, it's more all about the players and the season.
Hmm.
So while we have the time before the season actually starts, actually getting to the thick of the technical side, I think is
Yeah,
a
I
great
think it would
idea.
be a fun little episode just to see how everything's done and kind of follow them around and give everyone a little taste of what goes involved in a regular game day broadcast.
Yeah, that's good, Artie.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, please subscribe to the Gulls YouTube page so you can get notifications every time we put a new episode on, and every time they put a new highlight or a new game up there all throughout the season, so you never miss anything. And of course, stay tuned for us for next week, and we'll see you there. You guys have a good week and stay safe. See you then.